To those who keep getting online and insulting us in California, understand, we actually believe that California is red already. But what y'all are not getting is we live under the most corrupt state in the U.S. Understand, California holds Los Angeles. It holds San Francisco. These are two of the biggest places where all your demons and witches do everything that they do. So they're not going to let California turn red as easily as they'll allow other places to turn red. Our governors are corrupt. We have voted red. We have fought against Gavin. We have called him out. We keep doing it over and over, and it still turns blue. Even this year, when voting got finished, California turned blue immediately. It didn't take any time to count. It just turned blue. And we knew immediately they did it again. So for the people who are outside of California and constantly commenting on California, you guys need to stop being stupid, stop voting blue. We're not voting blue. We live in the area that you all worship. When you love your Beyoncés and you love all your music industries and you love Hollywood and you love all that kind of stuff, and Kamala is part of San Francisco, and like, you guys have to understand, all those people are here in California. It's 10 times as hard to get California to turn blue because we live under all of the witches and the warlocks and the demons. They're not going to allow California to turn red as easy as other places. So instead of insulting us, pray for us. Lift California up. Pray to God and say, hey, help them there. But y'all get on here and y'all call us dumb and, oh, hey, California, you guys just keep voting for the same thing over and over. No, we are not. I live here in California. I'm in the Bay Area. I know for a fact we are not voting blue. Yeah, there's some people who are, but a majority of us are red. But no matter what we do, we literally just voted on a bunch of different stuff, and they just walk up and say, nah, we're not going to do it. It doesn't fit our agenda, so we're just not going to do it. And nobody stops them. There's nothing to stop them from doing it. California is being held captive. If you want to know the true situation, California is being held captive. Pray for us. Don't get on here and insult us. Pray for us. Thank you and God bless.
In a new video released on December 2nd, a bold claim is circulating online that rural Californians, mostly conservative, mostly red-leaning, have their voices drowned out by the entertainment industry, political power players in Los Angeles and San Francisco, and even what the speaker describes as supernatural forces working behind the scenes. Today, we're unpacking what was said and what the data actually shows.
So I'm here at Mount Howell, and what you see behind me, vast majority of the land is federal land. 57% of the land in the state of California is under the jurisdiction of the federal government. Just 3% of our land is state jurisdiction. That said, California has 10x the investments we've made in vegetation, forest management, and prescribed burns. At the same time, the federal government has not made the kind of investments the state's making. That's why we're asking the President of the United States to sign a simple executive order. We are actually giving him a template. All it requires is a signature to basically match the rhetoric around protecting our forests, dare I say, raking our forests, and the reality of the lack of resources to get the job done.
The December 2nd video paints a dramatic picture. The narrator argues that no matter how rural Californians vote, their ballots are overshadowed by what he calls Hollywood, the music industry, and Governor Gavin Newsom's machine in Los Angeles and San Francisco. He goes even further, claiming that witches, warlocks, and supernatural forces are influencing political outcomes, preventing change despite votes in rural counties that overwhelmingly oppose Newsom and the state's Democratic leadership. To some, those claims sound symbolic, meant to express frustration, not describe literal forces. To others, they reflect a deeper belief that California politics are controlled by powers far beyond the ballot box. But when we set aside the metaphors and emotion and look at actual election data, a very different picture emerges.
And there has been much speculation over US President Donald Trump's health recently. While Trump claims that he is in excellent health, his critics are keeping a close watch on his every move. Now, during a lengthy cabinet meeting on Tuesday, the cameras caught the US president closing his eyes several times. At times, he seemed to struggle to stay alert, as each cabinet member offered presentations in a meeting that stretched beyond 90 minutes. Trump could be seen sitting back in his chair with his eyes drooping and sometimes shutting completely. California's Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom shared a video of the president saying Trump had fallen asleep in his own cabinet meeting. Now, it is Newsom's latest attack on Trump over his health. His press office also took a shot, using Trump's own words to target him. The post with a picture of Trump said, "Built different." Well, earlier his press office had mocked the US president over his MRI results. After Trump claimed that he had perfectly normal MRI results, Newsom's office released a fake memo signed by Dr. Doolittle about the governor's excellent health. And the fake memo concluded by saying that Newsom is the healthiest person alive and ever to live. Newsom's memo mocking Trump followed the president's recent spat with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. After Trump used the slur to refer to Walz in a social media rant, the Minnesota Democrat asked Trump to release the MRI results. Trump said his MRI results can be released, but added that he had no idea which part of his body doctors scanned during the MRI.
Let's talk numbers. In the 2024 presidential election, Kamala Harris won California with 58.5% of the statewide vote. Donald Trump carried a majority of the rural, inland, and mountain counties, just as Republicans often do. But California's population is not evenly spread across these regions. Urban areas, Los Angeles County, the Bay Area, San Diego, and parts of Sacramento, contain the vast majority of the state's voters. Los Angeles County alone has nearly 10 million residents, more than entire states combined. Trump won many rural counties, but those counties represent far fewer total votes. So the outcome wasn't a result of Hollywood, witches, or political magic. It was math, pure demographics. California has 40 million people. Most of them live in cities. And those cities overwhelmingly vote blue. That doesn't make rural voices irrelevant. It just means that in a democracy, population centers carry more votes.
California voters have approved Proposition 50, redrawing congressional districts in a way that could cost Republicans 5 seats next year. The new maps are expected to reshape the political balance in favor of Democrats. And tonight, we're learning it may actually cost 6 seats. Today, Republican Congressman Ken Calvert announced he'll challenge fellow Republican Congresswoman Young Kim next year for California's newly redrawn 40th district. His old seat is now a Democratic stronghold, setting up a high-stakes GOP showdown. California Congressman Kevin Kiley is in a lose-lose situation. He's one of the 5 Republican incumbents targeted by Prop 50. His 3rd congressional district will flip from a 3% GOP advantage to an 8-point Democratic one. Here's why Kiley said today he's not worried yet.
Sure, the premise is even true at this point. You have all these other states that are now lining up with North Carolina and Missouri and Indiana on the Republican side, Virginia, Maryland, Illinois on the Democrat side. At the end of the day, it may be a wash or something close to it. And so what is really the point?
But here's the part that is real and matters deeply. Many rural Californians feel unheard, dismissed, pushed to the margins. This frustration isn't imaginary, and it isn't about conspiracy theories. It's about lived experience. High taxes, skyrocketing fuel costs, struggling local economies, long-neglected infrastructure, and a homelessness crisis that feels out of control even in small towns. Add to that the political scandals that make headlines, like the corruption charges involving a former Gavin Newsom aide, which only reinforce the idea that power is concentrated in a political elite far removed from rural life. When you experience all of that, and then watch election results swing the same direction every cycle, it's easy to feel like the system is stacked, even if the explanation is simply population density.
California is set to increase its minimum wage in 2026. Edie Lambert takes a look back at the history of the minimum wage in this state.
Starting January 1st, California's minimum wage is slightly increasing. Workers will be making 40 cents more than they are currently. The new minimum wage will be $16.90 an hour. That hourly rate has been increasing every year since 2023. State law requires the Finance Department to adjust minimum wage each year along the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners. So here's a look at the minimum wage increases over the past 30 years. Back in 1996, the minimum wage was set at $4.75. 10 years later, it was up $2 at $6.75. In 2016, you can see the minimum wage hit $10, and next year it'll be nearly $7 higher than that at $16.90. California is one of 19 states increasing the minimum wage in the new year. Washington, D.C. has the highest minimum wage, nearly $18 an hour. That's followed by Washington State, soon to reach $17.13, and California ranks fourth after Connecticut. We should also mention that some sectors have higher minimum wages here in our state, including for fast food and healthcare workers in some sectors, and some cities and counties also set higher minimum wages.
The real story isn't supernatural forces. It's a divide, economic, cultural, and geographic, that keeps widening. Urban California is home to tech empires, billion-dollar industries, and some of the most progressive political movements in the country. Rural California is home to farms, ranches, mining towns, and families who feel their way of life slipping away. Urban voters prioritize issues like climate policy, social justice, and public transit. Rural voters prioritize local jobs, land use, water rights, and personal freedoms. And when both groups feel ignored by the other, resentment grows. The frustration described in the December 2nd video is not really about witches and warlocks. It's about alienation, about feeling like the state's political direction is set by people who don't understand rural life, don't live it, and don't have to deal with the consequences of the policies they vote for. So why does a video like this go viral? Because it taps into something emotional and human, the desire to be seen. When people feel overlooked, they gravitate toward narratives, sometimes dramatic ones, that validate their experiences. And when they see a system that feels lopsided, they look for explanations that match that feeling. For some, that means blaming political elites. For others, blaming cultural powerhouses like Hollywood. And for a few, turning to language about spiritual warfare, symbolic or otherwise. But regardless of the explanation, the core message is the same. Rural Californians feel left behind. And that's a message California leaders ignore at their own risk. The truth, at least as many see it, is more complicated than either side admits. California isn't only shaped by political machines, powerful industries, or population centers. And for those who believe spiritual forces are at play, it isn't purely a battle of ballots and demographics either. It's both. Human decisions, policies, and power structures shape the state, but many people also feel there are deeper, unseen spiritual dynamics influencing culture, direction, and division. Still, every Californian, rural or urban, deserves a voice. And until leaders confront the real, tangible issues, taxes, housing, homelessness, corruption, and economic inequality, videos like the one from December 2nd will continue to resonate. Not just because of frustration, not just because of the supernatural, but because people feel caught between forces, both human and, in their views, spiritual, that make their communities feel overlooked and unheard.